certainly seen that in this arena. GLK to the backboard. Beast Mode gets his catch, has to kill the ball. Is he able to? He tries to keep it going instead.
Some of the most incredible moments in Pro Rocket League, in my opinion, come from clever execution of team play.
Has to kill the ball. Is he able to? He tries to keep it going instead.
Over the years, we've gradually seen how team play has evolved from meta to meta. Passing, demos, fakes, and combinations of all sorts. In order to be at the top, you need to be world-class in all of these categories.
And I think it messed his angle up just a little bit. What does it matter?
However, it wasn't always like that. As you can probably imagine, when Rocket League first released, optimal team play looked completely different. So today, I'd like to take a look at the wonderful history of how we even got here. From literal goalkeepers in the early days to the complex, high-speed rotations we see today. Welcome to the evolution of team play in Rocket League. This video is sponsored by Displate. If you haven't heard about Displate yet, they're basically high-quality metal posters that you can hang up on your walls using only magnets. They've got over 2 million artworks to choose from, and the prints always look incredible, highly detailed with super vibrant colors. I have so many of them at this point. I've been a huge fan for a while. They're also super easy to set up. You just put the protective sticker on the wall, then press the magnet on for 5 seconds, and you're ready to hang up your displays. No nails, no tools, no damage to your walls. And they ship super fast in just 4 to 5 business days. As I said, there's almost 2 million artworks on their website, so I can almost guarantee you'll find something you love. It's as simple as searching up a keyword and you'll find a ton of options. They even have officially branded Rocket League artwork. It's really cool. If you want to support the channel and fill up your walls with some of the best posters out there, then click that link in the description or use code Wayton for the best available offer. Thanks again to Displate for sponsoring the video. Upon Rocket League's release in July of 2015, the competitive scene immediately started to develop. The idea of a competitive league like the RLCS being formed wasn't even thought of yet, but still, the simple passion to improve at such a unique sports-like video game was already carrying the meta forward. Initially, being that Rocket League's basic premise was most similar to that of real-life soccer or football, the optimal team play strategy ended up being very similar as well. You know how in traditional sports, players are given specific positions to play throughout the match? Well, in the early days of Rocket League, many players seemed to adopt that same strategy. One of the best teams in the world at the time was a team known as Cosmic Aftershock, consisting of Kronovi, Sad Jr., and Gibbs. And despite there only being 3 players on the field, their strategy was essentially to keep Gibbs as practically a designated goalkeeper, as strikers Kronovi and Sad Jr. would play off each other as needed upfield. Nowadays, even amateur players know that this strategy doesn't make any sense in competition. But at the time, Cosmic Aftershock won every tournament they competed in. However, as the general player base improved mechanically, they quickly learned how easy it was to punish such a static and predictable strategy. And thus, just a year after release, a completely new meta came into fruition.
That ball bounced so many times and nobody touched it. This flip side team rotated all the way back, collected some boosts, and tried to work up as a unit.
Look at that!
From Mike Rules.
By the time the first RLCS championship came around, teams had already found a much more reliable way to play together. Although it was still miles away from the strong, structured Rocket League we see today, it was definitely a huge step up from the goalkeeper strategy that teams started with. At this point in time, teams were beginning to adopt what is now known as rotation. In its most basic form, this strategy consisted of a player moving forward to get involved in the play when they had plenty of boost. Then, once they ran out, they would rotate back to refill their tank as another teammate would move forward and take their position. This strategy, if done properly, allowed for a fluid cycle where at all times, no matter what, at least one player would be ready and able to attack the ball if needed. No more designated goalies or strikers. Everyone is now an equal player that plays every position on the field.
To Marky, shot back into the middle, Sad Jr., nice fake, looks for Jacob, Sad Jr., oh my God! The tournament!
As this rotation strategy developed and improved upon itself, pros started to realize just how overpowered it was. Teams that could rotate faster than their opponents would not only have the boost advantage, but they'd also often find themselves having multiple players with full boost at the same time. In this situation, players now had the option to pass to their teammate upfield for an even deadlier attack. And it's team play like this that paved the way for stunning redirects that even professional defenses couldn't keep up with.
The series making the contact he wants. Now I think you should take that back. Wait,
sure why he went for that. He was on 0 boost off the crossbar in. I'm going to sue this Mocket squad down to the ground, although a lot puts that one straight up. That is the angle of the century.
For a while, redirects were the flashiest mechanic you'd see in Pro Rocket League. Not only were they impressive and fun, but they were also very deadly and hard to save. They quickly became something that defenses actually had to worry about. However, as crazy as these passing plays were getting around 2017, in the coming years, there wouldn't be much more progress with them. With new mechanics like the ceiling shot and later the flip reset, players like Squishy and Justin led their teams in pushing the meta forward on an individual level, which in turn kept team play as more of a sidebar.
Oh my goodness, the flip reset off the defender, he pinches it.
Suddenly, team play was taking a back seat, and chemistry was no longer as important. The solo play meta became so long stretched throughout multiple seasons that eventually the entire professional scene settled into it. It's not that passing didn't exist, but it wasn't progressing nearly as much, as pretty much everyone agreed that mechanical solo plays were the most effective way to score. Well, everyone except for one guy. A professional coach who had a brilliant plan to turn the Rocket League meta on its head.
My name is John, I'm better known as Verge, and I am a retired RLCS coach and a Rocket League content creator. Before I came on, the meta was solo play based. It was more of a game of who is the better player and less of who is the better team. So I did a lot of studying Rocket League and investing a lot of my time into paying attention to the patterns that the top teams in North America were displaying. And I noticed there was this commonality among every team pretty much that nobody really feared a pass directly across the field. Everybody was covering for the individual beats, or if they were covering for a pass, it was a pass forward, a pass, up to the right or up to the left. And so I just noticed there's this huge gap in the midfield. So when I had the opportunity to work with Dignitas, I had put together this vision of a play style that to me, like at the time, was the perfect way to play Rocket League, because it should in theory beat every team, because every team is displaying this weakness.
Astro will look to double tap this one off the backboard, but Devo's got it away.
The playoff match against Barcelona, where we went down 0-3 in the series, and it was a best of 7, we just weren't playing our play style.
Here's Rocky with the shot. All of the defense from Dignitas just a muck.
And at that time, we had been winning scrims like 8-0 every scrim, but come game day, the players were afraid to commit to it, and they kind of reverted back to what was comfortable, which was playing the solo game.
Strain on Dignitas. Now you got to put in 3 goals under 2 minutes. Tough ask, and make it 4. Ronicky from the side wall. I don't see enough scoring happening for Dignitas for me to believe in this. But
and I just remember having a conversation with my team saying, like, look guys, at this point we have nothing to lose. Like, we lose this next match, our entire season is over. What we're doing now isn't working. Let's just commit to what we know will work, and if it doesn't work, what do we have to lose?
with 3:34 left to go, the ball is finally in the orange.
Panda passed it directly infield to Astral, and he slotted it top right corner.
Astral into the top right, the 1-2-3.
And then that was like, oh my God, this works. It works online, it works on match day. Like, this is gonna work, let's keep it up.
Touch. Astral will pass into Violent Panda. What a play! All upper 90. Now the pressure on for Dignitas. Here's Astral back in. Violent Panda to win the game. Puts it in and on. That's the goal. We'll go to game 7. 35 seconds remaining. Barcelona has to score. Bang! They're not going to get it. That's 3 goals in. 30 seconds down. They got to score once every 10 seconds.
We end up reverse sweeping in a best of 7, which, you know, at that time, I think had only been done one other time in RLCS.
After pulling off one of the greatest comebacks in Rocket League history at the time, Dignitas carried their momentum straight through and won the next series in the playoffs as well, which meant they had officially qualified for the Season 8 World Championship in Madrid. At that event, with their new playstyle, they once again exceeded expectations, finishing top 4 in the world and only losing to the former world champions, Renault Vitality. The team play meta was back in full swing, as the very next season, Dignitas really took over. This passing playstyle they had been developing for so many months was destroying just about every team in Europe. Through the first 5 weeks of league play in Season 9, Dignitas were undefeated and sitting all the way at the top.
And that's why Dignitas is now one of the best in the world.
I am completely impressed with Dignitas.
The most resilient in Europe.
But fueled by the huge burst of confidence from their recent success, Verge decided that for his next public YouTube video, he'd showcase his findings through a brand new rotation guide. A tutorial that essentially consisted of Dignitas's entire playbook.
And so I'm making this video, this rotation video, and I'm thinking to myself, like, this is going to be game changing. Like, I want this to change the game.
The first thing to understand about rotation is a player's range.
So I'm making this rotation guide. I'm super excited about it. And I put it out and I get a message from my players the day it goes out. And they're like, dude, what are you doing? This is our entire play style.
Without leaving any opportunities for threatening touches from your opponent and without overlapping any coverage.
Like you're giving everybody all of our secrets. This is going to affect us.
You cover every option your opponents have and it will help you to keep possession of the ball more.
I just think I was a little bit arrogant because we had found so much success. I was kind of riding the high of like, you know what, we're so far ahead of everybody with it that we can hand them our playbook and we'll still beat them because we've been doing this for 6-7 months at this point. But then I get a message from Reagan, who is the coach of Vitality. That's our rival team. They're the team that is giving us the most trouble. And he sends me a message on WhatsApp and he texts me. He's like, Verge, that rotation video you put out, I've showed it to them. We've gone over it. Thank you so much for making that video. It was so incredibly helpful. And that's when I was like, oh, so I'm like, great. So they're already giving us trouble. Now they have our playbook. I didn't even think that many pros watched me, if I'm being honest. Like I thought I was making videos for like the general ranked population. And that's when Vitality really started giving us a run for our money.
Already Vitality with a very good chance to open the scoring.
As the two main teams in Europe that were now really utilizing team play to its full potential, Dignitas and Vitality ended up meeting in the regional grand finals of Season 9.
Alpha forced to commit, leaves Fairy by himself, lovely drop down.
As the series played out, it was baffling how both teams were just spamming the same infield passes over and over against each other. The meta was still so new that no one knew how to defend them.
Penalty can keep up this game score performance. It's a fast pass, that's a quicker shot.
Just that deep into the opposing side of the field, just to take a shot, as that is a great infield passing play.
To put Dignitas under pressure. Here comes K-Dot, full volley, he's actually over the pass in field, and Alpha converts.
And now, Dignitas have got to find a goal yet again. K-Dot tries to avoid bumps, on target! Astro passes it to Panda, he's got Yukio, he goes for Yukio! And it's another crucial block, but nobody will prevent Violent Panda from turning it in!
In the end, Dignitas came out on top and executed the playstyle just a little bit better. And thus, they took home the title of Season 9 European Champions. Unfortunately though, due to the lockdowns at this time, the World Championship for Season 9 was cancelled and substituted with another regional event, the Rocket League Spring Series, which took place 2 months later.
It's going to be an infield pass, Fairy Peak, he doesn't miss those.
In that event, Vitality had officially closed the gap on them,
Infield to Yukio, blocked by K-Dot.
taking down Dignitas in the grand finals with a clean sweep. And it was clear that this new meta was spreading across the world. While Dignitas still remained a top contender, they were no longer unique in the way that they played. Come RLCS X through the rest of the year as well as the next, Team BDS became the new top dogs of the region, emphasizing a solid rotation system and utilizing infield passes as the fundamental that they now were.
And they are already down.
Now that everyone knew how dangerous the infield pass could be, covering that zone on defense became a priority.
Once we created this threat of, I could pass it, now that player, that defender has to think about that, and we're giving them another variable.
Up until this point, the large majority of team play in Rocket League has circulated around the idea of looking for openings in the opponent's defense. There's bound to be a weakness somewhere, and if you attack fast enough, you just might find it before they can cover it themselves.
50s only, that's more like it, that'll do.
However, in 2022, a completely new category of attack was torn wide open. One that is so unique and deceptive, it creates a massive opening on its own. At the 2022 Winter Major, one of the first international events after things opened back up, Team Queso, among a couple other teams, showcased this new technique on the biggest stage.
To see if they can keep the pressure on.
In this play, Vatira pops the ball into the danger zone in front of the Furia net. Immediately, Joyo jumps up for it and is in a clear position to reach it before anyone else. So much so that not a single defender even bothers jumping, since it's pretty much useless at this point. On top of that, because Joyo jumped so early, he can't really do much with it. Furia's positioning should have all his options covered, which explains why they don't seem to be worried. This situation actually happens a lot in professional Rocket League, but it's not until this point in time that players really start abusing it. Instead of just putting a soft shot on net that would be easily blocked, Joyo actually backs off at the last moment, leaving it for his teammate behind who's in the perfect spot to take a truly deadly shot. Despite all three defenders being in a position to challenge this originally, the decoy of Joyo earns Rise the space to take a shot that would never have been available. Team Queso were one of the first teams to consistently use this brilliant method to score. But Furia themselves were no strangers to it either. Having one player jump up early just to claim the ball alone clears the way for their teammate behind to take the real kill shot.
He would help that as there might be a double tap coming! Gore puts it down!
As time went on, more and more teams added this move to their arsenal, and it became yet another attack that remains extremely hard to defend even today. In fact, this exact concept ends up being combined with another one later on to create potentially Rocket League's only unstoppable move. In the meantime though, there was a different aspect of teamplay that had been slowly climbing over the years and was now front and center. I'm of course talking about demos. Originally, the way teams utilized bumps and demos in teamplay would just be by slightly extending their rotation on offense. Instead of trying to center the ball and then just rotating straight back like normal, players would often center it and then drive through the opponent's goal line, hoping to eliminate the last defender at the perfect time. This was the lowest risk way to utilize bumps and demos, and it eventually became a fundamental rotation after a few innovators really showcased its viability. Later on though, the demo meta took a huge step up, as players realized if you're smart about it, you can make it almost unfair for the defense. A rare but apparent strategy at this time was to have one player act as essentially a disruptor upfield, doing weird, unpredictable rotations and trying to bump the opponents out of position, while the other two players would rotate normally and try to time their attacks with the openings that the disruptor creates. Most notably, version 1 utilized this tactic pretty often, even setting a record one time in which Com got 20 demolitions in a single game.
Com isn't even playing the ball anymore.
It's truly one of the most entertaining playstyles to watch, as the pitch basically turns into a battlefield for one of the teams. Over time though, this polarizing strategy would fizzle out, due mainly to the inconsistency of it. At one point, version 1 literally went 9th to 1st to 9th in back-to-back regionals, so it wasn't always a reliable tactic. Truthfully, the Demolition Meta has so much depth and history behind it, it absolutely deserves its own video. So definitely subscribe if you want to see that in the future. In fact, it's actually the second piece to the unstoppable move I mentioned earlier. In 2023, Rocket League fans witnessed the resurgence of a mechanic called the air dribble bump. Originally dubbed the unstoppable move in 2018, defenses in 1v1 and 2v2 never really found a way to defend it consistently.
How on earth do you stop a shot that good? It is the unstoppable move, ladies and gentlemen.
However, its one true weakness was that it only works on a single defender right in front of the goal line. If there was more than one defender back, or the mechanic was performed further out from the goal, it suddenly would lose all its effectiveness. And for that reason, it never really became that common of a threat in Pro 3v3. Well, at least not until now.
Another good touch from KB1 to prevent Crew from clamping down.
Sadness getting up off the ceiling, but still Brad works it around and gets the demo out of the air. KB1
Put it away!
It's air strikes from Crew!
Once players figured out that the air dribble bump could be just as effective on a passing play, it immediately shot back up in popularity. With this new idea, if a team could communicate it early enough, they could combine the unstoppable nature of a bump with the confusion of a decoy play. A recipe for something that, unsurprisingly, became a nightmare for professional defenses. Even to this day, there isn't a consistent counter to the air dribble bump pass. Its use and success rate actually only seems to have climbed as of now. No matter how a team positions themselves or how many defenders they have back, there quite often seems to be nothing they can do to stop it.
Against Alpha, again running out of boost. Alpha reset off the ceiling, Zen down below to take the shot!
Beastmo with a full tank. Takes his leave off the side wall, gets the bump, and the pass, and the goal!
That's the most meta play that you'll see.
Nolly gets the boost. Calm on the wing. Beating Hoxer, bumping Hoxer, scoring the goal! Oh, gee, aren't going so quietly.
TLK to the backboard. Beastmo gets his catch, has to kill the ball. Is he able to? He tries to keep it going instead. Scores!
It's seriously incredible how far we've come to where plays like these are becoming the norm. With each passing year, Teamplay takes yet another step up, adding new strategies and tactics to the already ginormous arsenal that teams have. Starting from goalkeepers in the early days, to developing rotation, the dominant infield passing meta, demolition meta, decoys, all the way to today where teams are merging it together and continuing to add more. It's just incredible when you look at the coordination of the best in the world. Some say that the Teamplay meta has been fading out for a while now, but I disagree. Truth is, all the incredible moments we see today are built on concepts that can't reach their full potential without working as a team, and very likely haven't reached their full potential yet. So as for what's next for the future of Teamplay, you can't really know for sure. The only thing you can know is that we still haven't reached the ceiling of it, and the real ending to this story has yet to come. One aspect of Teamplay I didn't cover in this video is the kickoff meta, but I actually have a whole video dedicated to that already, so go watch that if you haven't yet. I'm putting it on screen now. It's one of my absolute favorites. Thank you guys so much for watching, and a huge thank you to Verge for participating in this video as well. This video took almost 2 months to make, so I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a like and shared it around. And as always, leave a comment if there's a story that you want to see me cover next. Other than that, guys, I'll see you all in the next one.